I have with me Mr. Flynn Maloy. He's the global CMO of Lenovo ISG. Thank you so much, Flynn, for joining E4M. Welcome
My
you.
pleasure to be here.
Uh, Flynn, we are living in a time where you know marketing has been taken over by artificial intelligence in a big way. There was a time when the fundamentals of marketing were governed by psychology. Then there came a time when the fundamentals of marketing were governed by data. And now they are being governed by intelligence. And I'm sure you would have seen it throughout. How is marketing changing according to Flynn's perception in today's day and age?
Well, first, let me say hello to your audience and thank you for inviting me here. So, my role is the Chief Marketing Officer and Global Vice President of the infrastructure business inside of Lenovo. So, it's about a $15 billion business. We also have a very large PC business, which is about 40 billion, services business, and we operate in 180 countries around the world. We are a technology vendor and a technology provider, so we see ourselves and our labs and our technologists and our engineers as at the cutting edge of AI. So that's one of the benefits of the company I work for is we get to see the newest stuff right when it comes out of out of the labs, which is good and bad because we get very excited about things to implement inside of our own company first. You can say drinking our own champagne or eating our own dog food, but you can imagine there are, at least inside of a technology company like us, wave after wave of you know advancements around data orchestration, around the
Mm.
MarTech stack, around AI tools, around AI agents, around AI studios. So we do a lot of this. There's a lot of testing and failing fast. How do I think marketing is changing? So I think across the board, in our company, I think, and across the industry, I wouldn't say that we've gone away from psychology. I wouldn't say that we've gone away from data, or that we never had intelligence. To the 3 points that you made in your opening question, I think we have all of that. I think our learnings around AI is very exciting. I think we all can see a North Star future where productivity is massively increased, where intelligence, and when we say intelligence, what does that mean? That means our targeting, our messaging, our effectiveness is drastically increased with the help of AI tools, helping our decisions, helping our targeting, helping our production. I think that's the future that we see. Are we all the way there? No, we're not all the way there. And I think we've had some starts and stops and some fail fast. And I think most of the industry, even not in the IT business, but I think most of the industry sees a similar North Star, and we want to get there. But we are in various stages of getting there. And we can talk about where we are on that journey inside of Lenovo, but I do see a world of the future where every function in a company, whether that's supply chain or marketing or sales or legal or HR, has a platform with agents and decision-making tools and productivity tools that can make their job better. Does that mean it does it for them? It does not. We do not see
Mm.
a world where, all right, you don't need a marketing team or you don't need a supply chain team. Absolutely, we believe you do. So we think of it as augmented right now, augmenting and making better the functions of today. And that's the future world. We're not there yet. We have a suite of agents and platforms that we use inside of marketing in Lenovo, and there's some really great things like our data sheets as an example. For a technology company, every product we make needs a series of data sheets. It's legal, we have to share it with sales, we share them with customers. It's a series of templates. It does require technical expertise, but that process has been massively increased, like 40
Mm.
to 50% productivity. Whereas our high end, white papers that, or podcasts or these kinds of content rich, deep things, all right, that's been helped. But we've got more work to do to build upon that. So that gets the vision of the North Star, which we're not quite there yet. So there are various areas inside of marketing where we've seen a lot of progress.
Mm.
But I think the whole industry and our whole function across the industry has a long way to go.
Hmm. Let me now come to specifics. Very recently, I was reading where Emily, who's the CMO.
Emily
Uh,
Ketchen, yeah. So she's my
Ketchen, yeah,
counterpart on the
yeah,
PC side. So
yes,
she runs a device, yes, the device
yes.
group.
I was reading her interview, And she said that, Lenovo has touted a future where AI-enabled devices can know their users and even anticipate their behavior.
You betcha.
How do you envision AI-driven personalization changing the way you engage customers? And what boundaries do you set to ensure that these tailored experiences remain helpful rather than, intrusive?
Well, I think that's a big question, Birch. Let me break it into pieces. So first off, inside of Lenovo, we do have an overarching marketing strategy that our company, not just marketing strategy, an overall business strategy. As a provider of this kind of IT and AI, we have an overarching strategy called hybrid AI, which means we believe that in the North Star future, when we get to where we want to go, the industry, everyone will have a mix of some AI that's running in the public cloud. Some of those AIs are amazing, and their efficiency and their strength and their smarts are really, really fantastic. Other AI is going to run in a private environment, for your customer records and for your patient records and for, the different kinds of things you want for your company privately. And then personal AI, those three things combined to make, public, private, and personal, that makes hybrid AI. And we believe the industry wants a mix of these technologies in order to reach the North Star of a truly AI enabled company.
Mm.
And on personal AI, for example, what does that mean? Well, there's consumers, so our consumer life AI, and then there is work, doctors, nurses, sales reps, marketers. And we see a future that Emily was referencing where, you have your own personal agent, right? You have your own personal AI. So it can be your work, it can be your consumer, your life, but let's stick with work. So let's say you are a marketer or you are a nurse, right? He or she is going to have their own personal AI agent that is private to them on their work phone, PC, laptop. That's, you know, Bridge's agent. It's your agent, and you can ask it questions and engage with it. It comes to know what your preferences are, where you like to vacation, where you keep your customer records. Hey, how many times did I meet this Flynn Maloy guy? And did he talk about AI? Like that personal assistant can search for you, can do tasks for you, those kinds of things, but it's private to your device world, right? And it can interface with the company, the private, AI across your company, or it could interface with the public AIs to get information. So in this way, we call that, our personal AI, which is, one AI, many devices, especially across the
Mm.
Lenovo ecosystem. So if you have a Motorola phone and you have, a tablet and you have a PC, you can put them all together and you have one personal AI across multiple devices. That's our vision. And whether that's your private life or whether that's your work life, your work life can connect up to your company stuff and then even into the public AIs to answer questions and do tasks for you. So
Mm.
that's what she was referencing, is that it will your personal AI, the models are shrinking down so much. The ability to understand all of your personal data, keep it private. It's all about trust and it's all about privacy. Keep it private, but help you in your daily tasks, help you in your work tasks, or even your private life. Help you run all your private life while keeping your data secure. That's what we mean by personal AI versus kind of the way it works today, where you go out to, a big model like ChatGPT and you ask it questions and, you do it yourself. When we can get to a point where we have agents that can sit on our devices or run in our company, a platform of agents that I provide to my marketing team, and they
Mm.
can use these agents to do tasks, to do searches, other applications specific to marketing. That's again the future where we want to go. And we're
Mm.
we're there in some sense, and we're making enormous progress, especially in Lenovo, as we've talked about over the last year. We lead with AI PCs in the world, the largest market share for AI PCs and their capabilities. We lead with AI phones. You're one of the leaders in building out, the entire hybrid
Mm.
ecosystem, selling, billions of dollars into the cloud and building for on-prem and edge deployments of AI in grocery stores, in retail stores, in hospitals, in banks. It's a big business for us, and we are providing these platforms upon which you can run your AI applications. So we're working hard as a company because that's our business to help enable that future of personal AI, private AI, and public AI.
Yeah, no, no. I was speaking to a very senior marketer very recently, and he was kind of echoing what you were saying. How the future of AI is not LLMs; it's mostly SLMs and agentic,
Yes. Yes.
wherein
Yes.
wherein my agent will talk to your agent or a company's agent. But yes, of course, there'll be an issue with the data privacy, but I think that can be handled once these agentic AIs.
Well, let me talk about that for just a second, if I can, because that is why we talk about hybrid, Bruce, right? That's why we talk about hybrid, because you follow the data, right? If we didn't care where it went, we would just, only do everything, perhaps in those big,
Hmm.
public AIs. But a lot of people really care about that, of course. And so they have, their personal data, they have their company's data. And to your comment about training, so in the infrastructure world, we have known for a long time since ChatGPT first crossed the chasm and blew up around the world, and everybody understood, what the Transformers papers meant all those years ago and what actually can be done with large language models. There's been a massive build out for and a huge capital expenditure, and we've benefited. Many other technology companies have benefited in building these skyscraper AIs that are so powerful and so smart and so capable. And that has been the big move over the last 2 years.
Hmm.
And we like to say that's building AI, training AI. But you don't want to build your own AI. The average company doesn't want to build something. What we want to do is use AI.
Hmm.
Building AI versus using AI is almost two different things. And by the way, when you go to the technology underneath it, it's kind of a different set of technology. So it's called AI training versus AI inferencing. And the conversation is exactly right that you mentioned. The coming wave, so far, it's been so much about building and training. The
Hmm.
coming wave of investment, of capability, of efficiency, of advancement is going to be using, AI inferencing. And that's about throughput. The training technology, this is a little geeky, but if you're interested, the training technology is about these chips and these capabilities that can take massive data sets and simultaneously train the model, right? That's a different set of software running on different types of technology. NVIDIA's core chips, the H100, for example, that's what that does. In the inferencing world, it doesn't do that. It's about throughput, speed of throughput. 10,000 chatbots and interactions in an hour, 100 agents running at the same time across your company. It's about package scanning. It's about customer support. It's throughput, and that's a speed of throughput for using tools for stimulating a model, getting an answer, going again, going again. That throughput is a different kind of technology. So
Hmm.
NVIDIA's
Hmm.
RTX Pro 6000, for example, is the chip that optimizes that. So it's a little bit of a tech answer to you're right. This first wave was about building and training. The next wave is going to be about everybody using it at speed, at scale, all around the world. And when we
Hmm.
look at our own, customer surveys, we do a 3,000 person survey of our top customers and prospects every year, and we ask them, so are you all AI'd? Have you got AI everywhere? And I think across the board, there was a study this summer about from MIT, another one from Accenture, that maybe about 1% of businesses 1% have truly built these AI platforms into the core of the functions across their company. That's only 1% because it's expensive, because it's training tech, because inferencing is still immature. So the coming wave, what you and all your listeners should be thinking about is the coming wave of technology, applications, platforms are going to drive that usage motion, AI inferencing. Lenovo is right at the cutting edge of building the technology to overcome some of the bottlenecks around memory and latency,
Hmm.
security, energy. There's
Hmm.
some bottlenecks around this technology, but when it comes, inferencing is going to surpass training, as the dominant form of AI, and that's going to help all of your marketers out there that are listening. It's going to help the companies that they run. This is going to greater enable the using of AI easily at speed and at scale around the world.
Inbuilt systems also bring me to another question, and I think a lot of marketers have this question today. There are a lot of tech tools available in the market, a lot of CDP platforms, a lot of data platforms, a lot of CRM platforms. At the start of the interview, I said there's about 15,000 MarTech tools available in the market. Um, marketers are also wanting to build compostable MarTech stacks. If Flynn had to advise a marketer to build a perfect MarTech stack, what would that stack look like? Would
Yeah.
would it have elements both from the outside world and the inside world? Would it only have tried and tested models of Salesforce or HubSpot, or would it only be the internal models because they know the best as to what a company is doing?
A really good question. I think you could probably put 10 CMOs in front of you and they will give you 10 different answers to this question. But I have my own opinion. I think, and I draw upon, so I've spent, I did start in the consumer space in printers and PCs, but I've been in the data center space for 20 years now.
Hmm.
And so I look at examples of technology growth, technology evolution, ups and downs from the x86 wave, from Unix to cloud, virtualization. And I would say that the best answer in the end um, is not proprietary, meaning that whatever stack that you build is Lego-like components. Integration and interoperability, to me, are the most important things. The layers, they can all sort of interoperate so that you can plug a new one in a Lego style way. For however the stack you want. So whether that's homegrown tools, whether that's a layer of Salesforce, think of the stack and the prioritize integration and interoperability. I think in the future, you're going to have everything is going to be built on an AI ready foundation, that it's going to enhance workflows, it's going to enhance decision making, measurement. I think that's really important. So across the whole stack, as you build, and think of it as Lego block, because a lot of the MarTech stack today, well, this has to run with this, and then there's a through line, and then well, this one's proprietary, so this, all right, we have to make this decision first, and then like I think, and we've seen that in app stacks. There's so many different analogous examples across, anyway, my career or across IT as an
Hmm.
IT professional. We're talking about MarTech, but that's still tech. And I think those who win in the end, the systems that become the most used, are the ones that interoperate. And I think in the future, you need to have an AI ready foundation across all of it. I think everything needs to be built around first party data strength and privacy by design. Like you have to build your stack in on those things. And again, with interoperability, that's modular, that's scalable platforms. And I think flexibility from, by design, built in by design, interoperability by design.
Hmm.
I think that a lot of people sacrifice that for, what, this one's point 0.2 faster or whatever the metric is. And they will make more bespoke
Hmm.
solutions, especially the internal stuff. And you can build modular, interoperable internal stuff, or you can build bespoke proprietary stuff. And I would always, always prioritize the Lego block approach because today's thing, and in 1 year, it's another thing. And if you build proprietary, you have all this legacy overhang. And okay, over time it gets older, it gets, more brittle. So for me, um, in any design of the future MarTech stack or today, that's even how I work with my team today to build it. Interoperability and modularity is the most important thing. And as we think about the future, again, bringing in AI ready foundation, bringing in, the importance of data strength and privacy by design. That's what I think the future ready MarTech stack is.
I think that's a very interesting answer, perhaps, and I think it'll help a lot of marketers who are listening in. Very recently I did a story on dead data, or something what I call ghost data, because enterprises like Lenovo generate massive volumes of dead data, information that is never used, and information that keeps on rising your storage costs as well. Data which is on the cloud somewhere and you are paying for that data all the time, but you're never using it. You're a global CMO. How should CMOs rethink their data strategy? Because there's a lot of data out in the world that is not being used, and there's some staggering numbers about some. I was reading a report where there's 70% of dead data which is not used, lying in storage centers around the world, and companies are paying for it. So what
Mhm.
should be kept, what should be deleted, and how can marketing teams ensure that they're only collecting data that is actually driving insights and ROI?
Well, that is a very difficult question, and I would say I don't think anyone has the perfect answer for that, because data is increasing exponentially. So the way that I've approached it, especially in recent years, is less on the subject of getting better about what we collect.
Hmm.
Because every day a new sensor comes out there, and every day a new feed comes in. Every day there's a new data silo being created. And I think that you're never going to stop that. So, to be honest, I think, getting some core hygiene on storage. So, sitting down with your IT teams and understanding, okay, do we have a proper deduplication service in place? Deduping, hugely important in the marketing world because you get the same signals from five places. So,
Yeah.
deduping is really, really important. I think sitting down with what is your core data strategy, what should sit where? Are you actually getting a better ROI by putting it on the cloud? Or you know what? We could put that stuff, we could archive that stuff on tape, in a colo somewhere and save 50% as an example. So looking macro on hygiene, on deduping, on what should go where, what types of data is coming in. Is it object? Is it video and audio? Is it file and block like customer data information, data columns and data sets? So understanding the type of storage that you're trying to capture, understanding where it sits, getting proper dedupe and backup in place. So hygiene is really important to start with. But I think that you're never going to stop new types, new feeds coming in, new types of data coming in. And you can try to put a system in place where no, 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 we're not going to capture that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. We're just going to capture these ones. Well, that might work for a quarter, 2 quarters, but then a bunch of new things pop up. It's like rabbits. So I've focused instead on getting the core hygiene in place and then look at how we can understand the breadth, orchestrate the data. So in IT speak, right, it's all about data orchestration. So if your listeners are familiar with the concept around global namespace, a
Hmm.
global namespace, right, is where you layer, a view, observation across all your data silos. For a long time it was let's fight the data silos. Now let's get one data lake. Let's put it all in data lakes. And okay, to me that's like fighting a losing battle. I think you need hygiene. You need to clean it up. You need a strategy. But I wouldn't focus so much on that layer. I would focus on observability. So how can yeah, maybe 70% of it you're actually not going to use. But I think the better strategy than reducing the number of feeds is, getting good hygiene and then putting a data, a global namespace process so that you can cross all of the data feeds. And this, by the way, is hugely important when you want to apply AI to your data. Because no human is going to be able to read everything, and no
Absolutely.
simple search is going to be able to read anything. But being able to, run all your data silos through a global namespace, through a data orchestrator, and then train on that so that it's visible. And so you can ask your questions and they will look. And yeah, 70% of it you're never going to use, but you're going to find, it's like you're dealing with the wide scope instead of trying to reduce how much you have. And yes, it's costful. That's why you got to have hygiene, but you
Hmm.
don't know what you're going to find. You don't know where the patterns are. So just basically reducing the dead data, after you've done clean hygiene and making sure you're deduping and everything else, I don't think that's the right answer if you want to grow and advance. I think the right answer is, get good hygiene and then get a proper data orchestration layer in place so that you can run your tools across all your silos. There's a long push inside of the industry to just reduce silos. Let's just put it all into one. Let's reformat it. Let's throw it all into the cloud and they'll figure it out. Okay, I think the modern thing is jump that, accept that you're going to have data silos because you will and you are and you do. But if you look across those silos and you figure out, with different orchestrators or different ways to access the silos and then try to put it together and get it ready for AI, then using your tool set, you can find what you need from among the data. Because as you say, 70% of data is dead data. Well, does that does that stat really imply that there's no learnings or patterns from that 70%? Or it's just dead because it's not used, it's old stuff, it's object stuff, massive amounts. Like there might be a little bit of gold in there, but it'll take forever to find it. Well,
Hmm.
accept that there are data silos and clean it up. And then once it's clean, figure out how to run it through your tools in a global namespace way so that you take advantage of everything that's in there. And I think those who can really harness that instead of
Hmm.
just dumping the dead data, figure out
Hmm.
how to clean it up and then figure out how to take advantage of it. I think that's where the people who are going to grow and grow faster and lead markets, that's what they're going to be doing.
While we are discussing data, you know, LLMs are, trained on huge amounts of, data, data coming from different regions in the world. However, we have been seeing a pattern very recently wherein marketing campaigns across companies have started looking similar. Because the data that is going into LLM, the answers that are coming out are mostly very generic in nature, or the design language, etc., etc., is mostly generic. Of course, that brings us to SLMs and you know hybrid systems in place. But in a recent interview, you have said that amid the buzz around AI, you have stressed on the importance of staying grounded in real customer value. And for example, focusing on a solution, how a solution makes a better bank with AI.
Mhm.
So how do you cut that hype when marketing, how do you cut through the hype when marketing AI powered technologies? How do you keep your messaging credible, personalized, outcome oriented, to the customers, something which is not lost in buzzwords?
Yeah. I think I mean I got a bunch of different answers that I want to say. I think first and foremost though is you have to ensure that you're still using your own brains, that you're not outsourcing it to either an AI model or
Mhm.
even an agency, that our teams understand our business, and at least for me and our teams, it starts with understanding our business. So where are we going? Hey, sales leader, you know, go out 12 months and, tell me where our future revenue is coming from. Let's understand what the true business strategy is. Where are we getting our revenue? Who are we getting it from? So understanding that it is a business strategy and then building a marketing strategy to support that.
Mm.
And as you identify the marketing strategy, understanding who are your customers and what are they doing. So first off, I think it's really focusing on you know, who is your target? Where are you going after? And I would say this for all marketers. I think really understanding who your buyers are and the journey they're going through is not something AI can do for you. It's not something you can grab off the web or have Perplexity or ChatGPT tell you. Understanding your business strategy and understanding your customers is really step one. I think
Mm.
step two, on the subject of how do you approach that is especially for the enterprise, when you think of that buyer's journey, it's what are the various steps. Some of those steps um, are going to need you're going to get a ton of productivity from different tools. I think others you need to ensure that the content is rich and
Mm.
that the customers are understanding and you understand what the customer's journey is. And so it's a long way to say really understanding your target audience, what are their triggers, what do they want to do, and then building marketing for that. That doesn't mean everything has to be hyper personalized. That just means that, to your point about everything is kind of generic, everything's
Mm.
generic because I think you're not really understanding what are the pain points of what you're doing, or what your customers, why are your customers coming to your company? What is your value for them? Where are you going to grow your relationship with them, and where are you going to grow your business with them? So understanding that I see that as simple as I see you nodding, and I feel like this is obvious, isn't it, Flynn? I don't think so. I think there's a lot of marketers out there who don't spend the time to truly understand what is the business strategy? Where is the revenue going? Why are customers and where are they? Who are they that are going to give us that revenue? Really deeply understanding that, I
Mm.
think helps, your teams and their tool sets build marketing that's not going to look like everybody else, because no matter what, my business strategy and the people who, the customers who are going to give us revenue in the next year, that's not the same as Dell or Supermicro or any of these other companies. It will be different. Yeah, we're all doing servers, okay, and solutions and AI, but understanding the specifics of my customers and their journey and where they are and what we're going to be building to meet their needs. I just don't, I see it again and again. And I see a lot of young marketers that come in and spend a little bit of time there. And I'm always telling them, you need to understand our business better. Who are the customers? Exactly who are the buyers? Are they in buyer groups? Who has the decision-making authority? What are they trying to see? What are they trying to achieve? Are they just looking for infrastructure? Are they looking for productivity? Are they going to put, their old apps on there? Like understand for my business, understand exactly what they're buying and why they're buying it and where our business strategy is. So it is data driven in that way. And if you truly understand that, then I think you don't build generic, regardless of tool sets. I think your question was kind of aimed at, using a different tool sets or how can we get more personalization into our tool sets or into
Hmm.
our activity. My answer is that's not the answer. You can always use different tool sets. You can always, that's not what's creating the genericness, is we're all using the same tools. I disagree. I think we're not spending enough time, the industry, truly understanding your business and your customers. I think that's when you do that, regardless of tool set, it's not generic.
But absolutely, I mean, you cannot just take out a campaign and use it as it is. I mean, you have to apply your own, as you rightly said in the start, you have to apply your own brains. Um, uh, you also very recently pointed out that India uh, has been an AI trailblazer. You know, I was just reading your interview, one of the Indian um, uh,
Yes.
media houses. You said that India has leaned in, adopted early, and experimented. What lessons from, have you learned from India's AI journey, which you are applying to Lenovo's global strategy? And also, what are Lenovo's plans when it comes to India?
Well, another big question. But as I mentioned earlier, I mean, we consume a lot of data because we're in 180 countries, and what we have also found really valuable for our customers. For example, our Tech World events that we do, or Solution Day events that we do locally around India and around the world, we'll bring in that global view. We will run 3,000 person surveys, with a subset. Here's what India told us. Here's what Asia told us. Here's what, you see in the other parts of the world. And this gives a perspective of, where is India along, the growth journey, the AI journey, the IT journey. And what we have found from looking at our data is that, yeah, India has adopted AI faster. One of the things that we see that we admire that we're exporting, you might say, to the rest of the world is fast fail on AI fluency. So everybody, the lean in. So I think that's one of the things that we've all learned from India marketers and from India customers is leaning in, like seeing what it can be and then failing fast. Let's try. Okay, that didn't work. Let's try this. Oh, that worked. Let's try this. Oh, that didn't work. Let's try this. That that level of experimentation and risk taking is admirable. And we see it in the data as we look. We also see it in the data of leaning in. And I think leaning in meaning um, more and more mandates coming from India senior leaders saying, no, we'll all get AI fluent. And you're going to go do that now and go learn what this means. Go learn what the LLMs can do. I think that's another admirable thing. My advice to the marketers out there that are listening to this and the leaders are out there is absolutely prioritize AI fluency. Prioritize data literacy, like understanding those components. I think, understanding workflow orchestration and prompting is super important. And these seem like basics. And you and I, of course, we did this 2 years ago. But if you look across the bell curve of the industry or the countries in the world, yeah, there's way too many people, even marketing people and companies that, you know, just give a little, let me say, nod to it, but haven't really embraced, going forward and understanding prompt, understanding the different tool sets, understanding what it can do, um, trying and experimenting. You still have to use creativity and judgment. I think a strong grasp of responsible AI and ethics, what can and can't be used, where you're going to see bias.
Hmm.
And spending the time to understand. One of my favorite examples is, how many of the LLMs, you hear people talk about, hallucinations. Okay, what does that really mean? And where is a lot of that being driven? Like, are the AIs guessing? Are the LLMs guessing? Well, if you do your study, if you take the course, spend the times, learn the basics. Yeah, you learn that, many of the AI LLMs, they know like a multiple choice question. If you're taking a multiple choice question, do you leave it blank if you don't know, or do you go, let's just guess on one, C? Well, 25% of the time you're going to be right more than blank. So a lot of the LLMs will give you something. Just guess because they don't want to be blank. And there's all kinds of examples of this. And when you get AI fluent, when you
Hmm.
study, read a book, take the training, make everybody do that. Like you start to learn what are those limitations and what are the strengths. You start to learn what responsible AI means. Most people think, they think they know what responsible AI means. Not really. You need to study it. You need to lean in, understand responsible AI means about bias. Responsible AI means where does your data go from here? It means what's looking at it? What are the limits? So all of those things, I think, we see India leaning in, learning more, trying more, and in this way, it's admirable.
You're absolutely right. I was talking to a leading Indian CMO who has very recently also written a MarTech playbook, and he was actually talking about AI fluency and how he has mandated his managers to do certain courses,
Yeah.
on AI, because it is very, very important right now for marketers to learn this, because I mean, and that takes me to my next question. Looking ahead, what is one major shift you believe will redefine global marketing in the next 3 years? Something most brands are not preparing right now, but they absolutely should be prepared for.
I guess I would say, where our audience, where our customers of the future, where are they going to learn about us?
Hmm.
Where are they going to consume our marketing and hear our message? Where? I think that is changing rapidly. And you think about, answer engine visibility, not just rankings. Think about, I don't know if you're familiar with the tool Perplexity. We really love them. They have a close partnership with Lenovo, so we're a little biased, but Perplexity is a great example of, when you search there and you ask it, you're going to get, where it went. It'll say where it went. It'll explain where it went, and then it'll give you an answer. And that is, in terms of like next generation search. I mean, when you use that, you're like, oh, wow, this is so different and better than the old search I used to use. So, that's just one example. Increasingly, our audience today and tomorrow, they're going to find us and hear our message in different ways, in different places, certainly AI generated, AI enabled. So, optimizing for answer engine visibility, for example, optimizing for the AI um, uh, delivery of marketing in the future. I think this is a big trend, and I think nobody really has the answers for exactly how to do it. I know I can use it as an example. Lots of meetings with Adobe, the company we run on Marketo here in Lenovo, and they're at the cutting edge of how do you feed the answer engines in the same
Hmm.
way we used to do search engine optimization across Google and Bing and Yahoo. There is a whole growing tech capability and future recognition that answer engines are going to be something we need to market to. So I think it's a moving target, but where my encouragement is and my prediction is, get out your crystal ball, look into the future. What are your future customers using to find you and to read your message? And try to, go skate where the puck is going, as they say in hockey, right? Or run to the where the football is going before it gets there. Because I think AI is massively changing, how our customers are going to find us and learn about us.
I was reading something the other day, and they mentioned how uh, perhaps 2 years from now, the company will not directly interact with the customer and vice versa. It would be agents. My agent will be interacting with the company's agent and taking decisions on my behalf, and the agent of the company, customized to my agent, will be answering those questions which I have. I think we are living in very interesting times, and perhaps artificial intelligence has been the single most revolutionary force which has been changing how we live, how we market things, how we are in our personal lives and professional lives. I think it's a very interesting, and I mean, very interesting answers from you as well.
Well, on a final thought on that, though, I will also say it is. You're right. We're at a cusp in history. Like, to me, it's in technology terms, it's bigger than cloud. It's bigger than virtualization. It's bigger than
Yes.
x86. It's like the internet. It feels like when the internet first came in.
Yes.
But I'd also say that, to your point about agents, just talking to agents, they're kind of doing that today. Look at like trading. Look at stock trading. Like,
Yeah,
I think what is with the description that you just gave, I think there are various versions of this going back
already
30,
happening.
40 years, right? Yeah. So it is just a further evolution of what we've already been doing. And are we out of jobs?
Absolutely.
No. Our jobs will still be there. We will still be doing, we still need to drive and guide the future. Maybe our customer agents will talk to each other. Great. But there will become a point where we are going to talk to the customer. It'll just be a higher order thing and it's productivity. So I don't fear that. I don't think your listeners should fear that. I think it's just, another step on this, on a journey.
Now, before we end, I like to end on a rather candid note. So I have a few questions for you, if you allow me. Uh,
Okay.
had Flynn not been a marketer, what career path would he have taken?
Oh, well, I can say that when I was a young man, all I really wanted to do was to find a job that paid me to travel. And so that's what I truly loved. And I spent most of the 90s before I went to business school in Japan and Hong Kong, in Taiwan, teaching English, working in import export, bartending, had a ton of fun. And if I when I was out there, my dream job was as like a travel writer, a lonely planet, the off the beating path. They would go to Indonesia for a year and come back with all writing, all the great food and places to go. This is what I would have done if I didn't fall in love with computers.
If not for a Lenovo laptop, which would be the next brand you would go for?
Oh, there is no other brand. There's one, and then everybody else is down here. No, 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 no. I worked for HP for 20 years, and I can say hand over heart, when I came here, Lenovo's truly run better. I absolutely love the X1 that I have. It is never had a glitch. It's amazing. So
Hmm.
no, it is the only brand for me, man.
What's one thing your team knows about you which the outside world doesn't?
Um, that's a tough one. Probably that. Well, I don't talk often about my passion for scuba diving, but I love to take time off when I can, to go to a beach in a warm place and go diving. So I don't often talk about my hobbies, but definitely a love of scuba diving combined with travel and in beautiful faraway beaches. I was in the Maldives just a couple of Christmases ago. Oh, the Indian Ocean, amazing. That's that's a true passion of mine.
So, what would be your next travel destination then?
We'll probably go. I think we're headed to Anguilla, which is an island in the Caribbean. It's in the British West Indies. It's famous for its wreck dives. So
Barbados, yes.
there's a bunch of beautiful wrecks. A 17th century galleon in about 80 feet of water. There's a Dutch trawler that sank in 1964. That's just turned into a massive, beautiful reef. So I'll go do that, I think. And it's beautiful and warm, and it's a beach
Well,
vacation.
that brings us to the end of this interview. I think I hope you enjoyed our conversation. I certainly did.
Good.
I learned a lot of things from you, and I am sure that marketers who are seeing this conversation would also learn a lot. I think we touched on a lot of right topics that should be out there right now, and including that on data, on personalization, on creativity, on SLMs. I think we tried to cover it all. Thank you so much for giving us your time.
Yeah, my pleasure. And yeah, um, reach out again if you want to have another conversation. I appreciate it. And hello to
Absolutely.
all of your readers.
And whenever you
Lean
are in,
in would be the thing I would say. Lean in, embrace all of this as we see India and the best marketers doing. So
absolutely.